It is now my great pleasure to invite back to the stage Tim Tierney, FCM's third Vice President and Councillor for Ottawa's Beacon Hill Cedarville, who's going to take things from here. Tim, over to you.
Well, good morning, everybody. Let's start that again. Good morning, everybody. We got a nice full house here again today, and Jagmeet, I just want to let you know I put on a peach suit and an orange tie for you today. There you go, my friend. And just so you know, Jagmeet did want to be here with us today, and thank you for awarding us the extra little time for resolutions. I know the crowd really appreciates that. It's very important to our business. We would I do a very long bio. I know you have awarded us the extra time, but you also have to leave at a certain time. So people know who you are. You've been a friend of the FCM. You've been here many, many times. I think people know who you are. So, Mr. Singh, if it's okay, I'm just going to go directly to the questions, if that's okay with you, good sir. Thank you. So, first of all, when it comes to partnership, we do want to thank you for joining us virtually. Very, very important. And at this point, we want to know that obviously you continue to support FCM, you've been a part of FCM, and you're always here to, discuss the issues of the day. When it comes to housing and infrastructure, I would like to discuss, obviously, the elephant in the room. It's in every municipality, about the housing crisis and communities across the country where we're seeing many, many challenges. How will you and your party work to ensure that communities of all sizes that will have support to maintain and expand that core infrastructure, including water, sanitation, roads, transit, community centers, and much more? Mr. Singh. Yeah, I know. We always forget to unmute since COVID, I guess. We'll get that technical bug worked out in one quick second. I could sing if you want. Yeah. I just went through resolutions, guys. Come on, give me a break. All right. Here we go. Any audio? You look great. So Mr. Singh is going to sign the entire session. Okay, that's impressive. That's impressive. And we'll just be a quick second. We're just going to find out what boogeyman is hiding in our computer systems. Not yet, not yet. Did we mention the support for rural broadband?
That's a great segue. All right, we're going to take 2 seconds, talk amongst yourselves. It's probably going to be closer to 2 minutes. We're going to figure this technical issue out. It is 2024. We know we can do it. So I'm encouraging you to stay in your seats. This is an important conversation we're about to have. Let's pretend that we're meeting new people. Turn to the person on one side, on the other, behind you. Exchange greetings. We'll be right back. Use this as a networking opportunity, friends.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Isn't this exciting? So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I have been told that we have sound. What I would love for you to do, when in fact we do establish speaking contact with Jagmeet Singh, please give him a really big round of applause for his kindness and patience with us this morning, because he has waited and such. So let's not cheer until he knows we're cheering. But let's give it a try. So we'll tell our tech folks, are we ready to go? Nope. We are not ready to go.
Test. Okay, mine works. You look a little sideways, Jagmeet, but that's okay. Here we go.
Don't you just love this? I think this makes us all feel great, because how many of us have, despite years now of having to get accustomed to doing everything online, or so much now online, how many of us have still had that you're on mute, or you're sideways, or the best is when your kids leave a filter?
Yeah.
Do you remember? There he is. All right, do we have sound?
Check. Hey,
Oh!
audio.
Woohoo!
Yes. People are applauding. Oh, wow. People are standing up and applauding. In the back, that's a very enthusiastic fellow.
All right. I'm going to leave you in Tim and Mr. Singh's capable hands. Thanks for the cheer, everybody. Thanks for your patience. Tim, over to you.
That was great dancing, Catherine. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That worked out great. Jagmeet, you're here. All right. So I'll just go right to the question, my good friend. So how will your party work to ensure communities of all sizes help support that core infrastructure, the part of the puzzle that has to be there, including water, sanitation, roads, transit, community centers, and much more? Good, sir.
Thanks so much, Tim. First of all, if you're going to wear a peach suit and an orange tie, I'm showing up anywhere you are. So just let's put that out there. I also wanted to say to the folks, thank you so much for being here and for attending a virtual session. I actually wanted to be there in person, and what had happened is we had gotten word that there was going to be a strike, the CBSA strike, which meant that there was no air travel from international airports would be considered crossing the picket line. So I committed not to do that, and then that strike got pushed back anyway. So we are in this position. So I was planning to be there, schedule the flight, cancel the flight, but thank you for taking it this way. Tim, in terms of partnership, I look at the housing crisis as really a question of affordability, and we're seeing that it has become unaffordable across the country, but particularly I want to make the case it is very unaffordable in big cities in our country. It is extremely unaffordable, and people are saying there's just no futures, particularly for young people. It's nice to see everybody waving at themselves as they're getting panned in the camera. That's very cool. There is no future for young people, young families, recent new grads in big cities in our country because they cannot find a home that's affordable. So to solve this problem, we absolutely will not benefit from finger pointing, blaming one level of government or another. That is wrong. That's not how you solve a problem, by blaming the municipality or blaming the. It's forcing everyone to work together to come up with solutions is the way we move forward. And cutting services or cutting investments is going to make it even worse. If we've got a problem now of not having homes that are affordable, cutting that funding that we need to build those homes that are affordable, cutting that's going to make it even worse. So we absolutely need to work together. We absolutely need to stop the finger pointing, and we need to make sure that there's real funding. And one of the challenges that I know you know very well, Tim, and the folks in the room know, many municipalities, many local governments want to build, but their infrastructure can barely sustain their existing population, and it is impossible to go beyond that if you can't actually have the right infrastructure in your local community. So we need to invest in infrastructure to meet the needs of the local community, and then to be able to expand as well. So that's one big necessity, and the federal government is in the best position to do that, because for a lot of local governments, there's just impossible amounts of capital needed to meet the infrastructure needs. So we need the federal government to step up there and provide that support. So I want to make sure that everyone can live in communities across our country and it is affordable to find a place to call home. To do that, we need to work together. We need real investments. A couple of things that I should add on to that. We want to make sure that there is real investments in affordable housing. It's probably forced the government to bring in things like the Rapid Housing Initiative, the Housing Accelerator. Those are things that are working, and we wanted more of that. We also know that climate mitigation and adaptation has to go hand in hand with the idea of building more homes. When we build and expand our communities, we also need to make sure that they are ready for what has now become more and more common extreme weather. So that's something that I would also put into that answer, that we need to work together to build homes that people can afford. We also need to invest in the transit. If we build more homes, how are people going to get around? We need transit investments, and we also need to make sure that our communities are climate adapted so that we are building for the future in a real way.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Jagmeet. And so that leads to my next question. Are you reading my notes here? The municipal growth framework. It is the talk of the town, and we are certainly talking quite a bit about that. You're familiar with it. We've all been educated here through the conference about an old antiquated system of how municipalities are getting funded, or not being funded, I should say. That being said, we're calling on the federal government to initiate critical first steps in the 2024 fall economic statement to increase direct annual transfers to municipalities by $2.6 billion and a link to the economic growth. Now, are you open to further discussion on how we can move forward on this? And I know you're well versed on the old model versus our new framework. Please give us what your thoughts are on that.
Premièrement, oui, je suis toujours ouvert aux conversations pour trouver des solutions, particulièrement pour nos municipalités. Ça, c'est essentiel. Je comprends les défis, je comprends que on est dans une situation impossible pour les municipalités où vous avez une grande responsabilité de livrer des services, mais pas beaucoup de moyens pour payer pour ces services. So I get it. It is really difficult, impossibly difficult for municipalities to have to continue to deliver massive services and have really limited finance, limited resources or revenue to deliver those really important services. So it is a very impossible situation. So absolutely, I am committed to having those conversations about how we can address that. I remember I read in the submissions that the FCM had that you described our funding formula as a 19th century approach to a 21st century challenge, and it doesn't fit. So yes, I'm committed to that. We need to find better ways working together so that local governments, municipalities can deliver the services that they need to for the residents and have a revenue that actually allows them to do that, or mechanisms that allow them to do that. The existing limitation of just having a property tax as the only revenue source is very limiting, is not rising to the occasion or meeting the times. And so I hear you loud and clear on that. And yes, I'm committed to those conversations and how we can move forward in a better way.
Great. Thank you for that. Yeah, great answer. Absolutely. And just from your perspective, municipalities across the country, we're the workhorses, we're the front lines. And what's your vision of cities in the future? Do you see us having a greater role, not just a corporation of the provinces? We're actually more involved on day to day because, as I mentioned, we're not doing the standard municipal work of the old days, as we remember, of potholes and light bulbs. It's a much different world these days. So just real briefly, do you have any thoughts on where municipalities are going to go as a level of government?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I would say you all know this really well, and I know this from my years as a provincial parliamentarian. The number of calls I would get into my office that were related to municipal issues. We would get a huge chunk of calls, emails, correspondences, because people really in their day-to-day lives, the first line of defense, the first response, the first thing they think about is they think about their city. They think about their local level of government. That's where they think when they need help or when they need a problem solved. And those are their concerns. So you are directly and deeply connected with people's everyday concerns. And to me, it's a missed opportunity if we don't have a better way to engage with the folks that are really meeting people where they're at in the most important ways. So municipalities, for your direct connection to people, for the important services that you deliver, have to be a part of a solution when we look at all the problems we're up against as a country. We think about our affordability crisis, we think about fighting the climate crisis, we think about all the challenges. I believe that we need to better engage municipalities and local governments and really have a very collaborative approach. Local governments, provincial, federal, together solving problems. That's why I started off my comment saying the finger pointing, blaming one level of government, that's not the way. If there's a particular policy that we want to critique of a particular government, that's one thing. But this blanket approach that I'm hearing from conservatives that say that when Pierre Poilievre attacks municipalities, it says, oh, mayors are to blame or local councillors are to blame. That approach is not solving anything. If you've got an issue with the policy, yes, let's approach that. And so I think people have a really important choice in the next election. You got a choice between Pierre Poilievre, who wants to cut services, cut investments in municipalities, wants to attack them, or me, New Democrats who want to work with municipalities, work with local governments, invest in solutions, and are ready to do that work. So I think the choice is clear.
Great, thank you for that, and really appreciate that. And I just saw the clock tick up. We got a couple more minutes now, and I do appreciate that. It just changed, and thank you to our wonderful techs here. So, again, maybe if I could ask you to speak to homelessness and housing and how the federal government has a direct role or should have a direct role in providing some of that housing. Maybe some of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say from touring across the country, it's one of the most heartbreaking challenges that we're up against in communities that have never seen housing encampments or seeing them. They're seeing people that they've never been. I've been to local communities where they've never had this issue. They've never actually seen people at the level of pain that they're going through right now not be able to find a home that they can afford because rents are so high. There's so little affordable homes. There's so little available, period. Been to communities where the vacancy rates are so low, there's just nothing available. Even if you had a place and you lost it, you would end up with nowhere to go. So those needs and that struggle and that pain is at a level that I've not seen before since getting into federal politics. So it's quite serious. And there is no question the federal government has to play a massive role in solving this. I think there's got to be direct solutions around people that don't have homes, the unhoused, homelessness. We directly have to find ways to house people. I really believe in the principle they say that to deal with a lot of challenges in someone's life, taking a housing first approach, that the first thing you need to do is get someone in a home. Then and only then can you help them with rehab or treatment of an illness or other mental health issues. People need a home first and foremost, and that's been put in place in a number of countries, and it's worked really well. So yes, we've got to have the federal government involved. I also think we've got to really examine overall housing if we think the solution is going to come from just building more homes without having a caveat to that. We're not going to solve the problem because we're losing more homes that are affordable than we're being built. It's 11 affordable homes are being lost for every one that is affordable. So we've got to keep the homes that we do have. That's why we fought for a renters protection fund, to keep the affordable housing that we do have. We also need to build homes that are purposely built to be affordable. We can't just allow and expect that private development of condos and market housing is going to solve the problem. We need to purposely build homes that are designed for affordability. So looking at not-for-profit options, looking at cooperative homes, looking at other ways to build homes that are purposely built to be affordable to rent or to own. That's something that's got to be a part of the solution, because when people have a place to live that's affordable, it takes off the pressure, and we can address housing in general, but also very specifically the issue of homelessness and those that are unhoused. So there are a lot of solutions out there. We have to have the will. I would put to you again that New Democrats are committed to this. We believe we have to be involved. The federal government has to be an active partner. We can't take a step away. We have to invest in the solutions. And then and only then will we solve them.
Great, thank you. Terrific answer. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Two very brief questions. I see it's blinking at me. The first one is, there's this little hockey game going on tonight. I caution you, there's orange in the color of the team I think we all want to win. Who are you cheering for tonight? Florida? Or the Oilers? It's the Oilers. Say the Oilers.
Oh, come on now. I think all Canadians can unite around a Canadian team being in the finals. So there's lots of folks jumping on the bandwagon. I am proudly a bandwagon jumper. So let's go and let's win this one.
And final question before you depart us today, and I thank you for all your time. We always do this together. You always make time for a selfie. And since I have the crowd in the background here today and we have you on the screen, we're going to wave frantically and scream and cheer. And I want to thank you for coming out here today. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Great. Thank you very much, Jagmeet, for coming out and joining us today. That concludes our speakers component for this. There's more to come, and at this point, we'll get the wonderful Catherine Clark to come back out and tell you about what's going to happen for the rest of the day today. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Jagmeet.
Thank you. Take care. Merci. Bye-bye.
Well, a huge thank you to Tim, thank you to Jagmeet Singh, to both of them for their patience, and to all of you for your patience as well. Great to hear from Jagmeet Singh. Great way to start the day with both an important plenary resolution session and hearing from the leader of the federal NDP, getting the